want to sing a song? Maybe we do 1, 2, 2. 1, 2, 2. Okay.
Meantime, so this is the program. Maharaj is coming soon, but the Arati will be at 7 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Then Tulasi Arati, then Ushala.
Okay.
So he has time to do more songs and then he can read.
Okay.
He has plenty of time to read, maybe 1 hour.
So Tridana Maharaj?
Yes.
Yeah. What time's he coming?
He's now.
Oh, he's here, alright.
So you can sing more special songs. And
Okay.
then when he's ready, you can.
7 o'clock Archie.
Yeah.
Alright? He is coming.
Hare Krishna. Oh, no, that's Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
What is it? 1, 2, 2. Nitai Pada Kamala.
What?
1, 2, 2. Nitai Pada Kamala. Nitai Pada Kamala. Koti Chanda Sisi Kamala. Oh, you can do 2 beats. you like to sing next?
First I'd like to know what page is that on? Right at the beginning. Oh, you know it's anyway.
14.
It's on there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't. What page is that?
30.
30?
No, it's in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And then we go straight from that into Radhe Jai Krishna Janmastami, page 230.
Yes.
So to get 230 ready,
Yes.
then we can just segue into it.
43 March.
Why did you want the microphone? Do you want the mic? No? Okay.
Yeah.
Prasada Sita
Gopi Vasanara Rasarasita Kitamaya Jamunatacha Gopi Vasanara Rasarasita Kitamaya Srirajya Vallabha Vrindavananoktabha Srirajya Vallabha Vrindavananoktabha Hey, Bhakti Vinod Acharya Bhakti Vinod Acharya Hey, Asamati Nandana Rajagadanagar Gokula Ranjana Khana Jayo Radhe Jayo Krishna Jayo Vrindavan Jayo Radhe Jayo Krishna Jayo Vrindavan Shri Govinda Gopinata Madana Mohan Shri Govinda Gopinata Madana Shama Kundo Radha Kundo Giri Govardhan Shama Kunda Radha Kundo Giri Kalindi Jamuna Jaya Jaya Mahava Kalindi Jamuna Keshi Ghata Bangshi Bhato Radha Shakana Keshi Ghata Bangshi Ghata Radha Shakana Jaso Bolila Koilo Shinanda Nanda Nacha Bolila Srinanda Jashoda Jayo Jaya Gopagan Srinanda Jai Krishna Jaya Gopagan Sri Damadi Jaya Jaya Hindu Bhaktana Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya Kira Sundari Jaya Vrishabhanu Kira Sundari Ajaya Ponama Jaya Ambira Nagari Jaya 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 Gopeshwara Vrindavan Namah Jaya Jaya Gopeshwara Vrindavan Namah Jaya Jaya Krishna Shakavat Dvijara Jaya Jaya Krishna
Jaya Rama Bhakta Jaya Rohini Nanda Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Gosi Jata Jaya 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 Dvijapati Jaya Naga Kanyaga Jaya Dvijapati Jaya Naga Kanyaga Bhakti Te Janar Pairo Govinda Chara Jaya Radha Shyam Shri Radha Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam Jaya Jaya Rasa Leela Saro Manora Jaya Jaya and Jaya Jaya Dolorosa Sarva Rasa Jaya Jaya Dolorosa Sarva Rasa Parakiya Bhave Jaho Prajete Pacha Parakiya Bhave Shri Chandava Pada Padma Koriya Smaran Shri Janava Pada Padma Koriya Smaran Dina Krishna Dasa Kore Nama Sankirtan Dina Krishna Dasa Kore Nama Sankirtan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Bolo Jai Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama
I can just read, was that one? Yeshwamatina, and then read the translation of those ones. Was it 40 you said? 43, thanks. Sri Krishna is the beloved son of Mother Jashoda. You know, Yasha, in Sanskrit means famous. So she's the most famous, Yashoda, possessor of the most fame. Sri Krishna is the beloved son of Mother Jashoda, the transcendental lover of the land of Vraj and the delight of Gokul. One of his nicknames is Kana. He is the life and soul of the gopis. He is the enchanter of Cupid and the conqueror of the Kaliya serpent. Next you can go around this way. If you'd like to read it. Verse 2.
The holy names of Krishna are spotless and full of sweetness and beauty. Krishna is the king of the forest of Vrindavan. He is the ever-fresh youth, an excellent dresser and the best of lovers. He always plays sweet melodies upon his flute.
Krishna is the guardian of all who live in Vrindavan and the destroyer of demons. He tends the cows and is known as Govinda, for he delights the cows and the senses. He is Madhava, the husband of the goddess of fortune. He loves to steal butter, and he is the beautiful coward boy of Nanda Maharaj.
of the Yamuna River, Krishna stole the garments of the gopis while they were bathing. He enjoys the melodies of the rasa dance. He is the most merciful, beloved lover of Srimati Radharani. He is the great dancer of Vrindavan and the supreme shelter of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
You felt as well?
Yeah, it is a great. There is another song, Jaya Radha Madhava. That's 227.
227.
Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunda Bihari.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Did you have a suggestion?
What do you
Did
say?
you suggest a song?
That's also, I think to stay a little bit in that Radha Krishna zone.
Say
Yeah.
the next one.
There is also, huh? Yeah. But that's hard, that's very hard.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult.
Yes, also suggest. There's also the Suchastakam, and then the holy name is being glorified. What do you think about that?
Shastakam.
That's Suchastakam, starting from 200. Glorification of the holy name.
200,
Yeah.
Pita Bharana Bhav, Pita Bharana Kali Bhavana Gaura, Pita Bharana Jaya Jaya Bhava Vibhura. Pita Bharana Kali Bhavana Gaura, Pita Baba Krishna Prakasha Jaya Sunda Krishna Prakasha Lord Gauranga, whose complexion is golden, who is a deliverer of the fallen souls of Kali Yuga, sings as follows, overwhelmed with spiritual ecstasy.
O glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. The glory cleanses the mirror of the heart and is the delight of the soul.
All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It extinguishes the forest fire of material existence and removes all material tribulation.
All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It appears like the moon in the heart and distributes its cooling moonlight, making the white lotus of the soul's good fortune blossom and bloom. Krishna Kirtan is the Bhakti Vilasa, the beautiful pastime of devotion.
All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It reveals one's pure identity and relationship with the Lord, even up to divine consorthood. This chanting is the real perfection of life.
All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna Kirtan causes the ocean of ecstatic joy to overflow. It is an inundation of divine love.
All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna Kirtan gives one a taste of fully satisfying nectar at every step. Ultimately, it bestows ecstatic love of Godhead. All glories to the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. It bathes the soul of Bhakti Vinod. His chanting is a storehouse of love of Godhead.
Jai Sri Sri Shastakam, Jai Sri Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai.
Ki Jai.
Okay?
We can go on to 6, I can just start telling something now.
Yeah.
Can you?
7 o'clock arti.
Yeah. So today's Sri Krishna Janmastami. Mostly Hindus say Krishna Jayanti, don't they?
Krishna Janmastami.
You say Krishna Janmastami also?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of them say Krishna Jayanti.
No, it's Janmastami.
It's not different.
No, Janmastami.
It's the same meaning.
Yeah, same meaning.
So, if you know, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, where that's described the appearance of Lord Krishna, and that's been summarized in the Krishna book by Srila Prabhupada. And, you know, remember the chapters ago, prayers by the demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb. So, Krishna appeared in the mind of Vasudeva, the father, and from there was transferred to the womb of Devaki. Okay, so that means that when the mind is pure, Vasudeva means pure mind, then Krishna will appear there. And from the womb of Devaki, then he appeared in the prison house of King Kamsa. And that's all described here, which in a very, condensed form. So I thought I would just read some verses actually from Brihad Bhagavatamritam. If you're familiar with this wonderful book, actually, it was first published by the Gaudiya Mutt. Devotees who had been at that time in India would remember. But there was a small one-volume book like this with a blue cover, and it was translated into English with no shlokas, no verses, just like the translations all together, like a narrative. But the English wasn't very good. It was quite choppy, and the grammar and stuff wasn't perfect. So it's been redone in 3 volumes by some devotees more recently. Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu Brahmachari, he passed away a few years ago now, 5 years ago, and Hridayananda Goswami, who was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who completed the Srimad Bhagavatam from the 10th canto part, chapter, I think it was 13. The last part that Srila Prabhupada translated and gave commentary was about the Brahma Vimohan Leela, when Lord Brahma and the pastime, stealing the cows and calves and that. And that, you see, is in a very slim volume. It's just like this thick, because he was very preparing to leave the world. And even they were holding the microphone to his mouth, and he just like whispering, but practically to his last breath, he was translating and explaining. But if you notice in that particular volume, the very last one, that slim volume, it's very intense. The purports are quite short, not like in the previous volumes where they're sometimes very long and pages, It's very short and concise, where he's just trying to get the essence out, for the 10th canto, chapter 13, I believe. That was the last. And then it was continued on by Hridayananda Goswami, who was a Sanskritist and devotee, and he did the rest of the 10th, 11th and 12th cantos. So Brihad Bhagavatamritam, as the name suggests, Bhagavatamritam, the nectar of the Bhagavatam, of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the Brihad Bhagavatamritam. So it's it's kind of expanding on the teachings and the pastimes of the Srimad Bhagavatam, giving a lot of other points and information that isn't in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this, and among some other scriptures, like another one is Garga Samhita, like Srila Govinda Maharaj, he liked that a lot. He had a copy of that and he used to sometimes read it and talk about it. So that also has different pastimes of Krishna that are either omitted in Srimad Bhagavatam or said in very brief. For example, I remember one in Brihad Bhagavatamritam where, the Kaliya Leela, where Krishna danced on the head of Kaliya. So there's many things inside that pastime, different meanings. So, to subdue the Kaliya serpent, Krishna jumped off the Kadamba tree, was very high up, and went into the water, and everyone was very, very afraid, Small boy Krishna, age of 7 years, which means 11 or 12 years by Vedic calculation, right? And so he's in the water, and then the Kaliya serpent's winding his coils around him to crush him, and they're all very, very afraid. Because they don't think Krishna's Bhagavan or God or anything like that. Even sometimes they might think, maybe he's a demigod or something, come down to earth, But even that thought quickly goes again because of his wonderful activities. So, and then Krishna was fighting, appearing to fight with Kaliya, and appearing to sometimes be, taken in his coils and pulled down in the water, and then everyone's like, oh no, and then he's going up again, and finally Krishna, he went on the heads, jumped on the heads, so many heads of the Kaliya serpent, and dancing like an actor on the stage. Like when you have a stage, like in the London Palladium, you have a big stage, and this is my idea, like the lights you have, footlights they're called, right? And they're kind of under the stage and then shining up, so you can see what's happening because the rest of the theatre is dark, right? So in the same way, the jewels on the hoods of Kaliya were like the footlights on the stage of his heads, on which Krishna was dancing, and as he was dancing and in a rhythm, like beating his lotus feet, all the poison was vomiting out of the mouths of Kaliya. So in this way he was delivering him and blessing him. So you say, he's a demon, a big demon, scaring and preying on the inhabitants of Vrindavan and making the whole Jamuna poisonous. But if you think to have a place directly in the pastimes of Krishna, what sort of soul must that be, right? Very high, elevated soul, So then Krishna, was dancing on his head, and in the Bhagavatam it just says, and then, the residents of Vrindavan all came there, and they were completely freaked out and just fell down, fainted with fear, like they were dead, and until eventually Krishna, banished the demon. And it mentions also about the Nagapatnis, the wives. He had so many wives, and these are like half human, half snake beings, Nagapatnis. So their tail is like a snake, and it's human as well. So they all came up out of the water. Oh, please, save our husband, don't kill him, and like that. And so it's briefly told in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but in the Bhagavatamritam it's very nice. It says they were praying to Krishna and they had these scarves around their necks. So they all took their scarves and offered them to Krishna. You might have seen in the films, not to compare it, but like the Dalai Lama, and he has a white scarf, and he has someone with a big pile of them next to him. He takes one off, puts it in, next one in the line. It's like a blessing thing, So they all offered their scarves to Krishna. It's the other way around, of course. But then the Bhagavatamritam says Krishna tied them or knotted them all together, so it's like a rope. Then he put the that rope through the nose of Kaliya. You know, like you could put a ring through a bull's nose. So he looped it through the nose, and then he was like riding him like this, all in the Jamuna, like gee up, you know, splashing, and it was fantastic fun. And everyone was very happy. But what happened was, while Krishna was fighting with the Kaliya serpent, at that time there was nobody there initially, but one old man, this is what the Bhagavatamrita says, one old Gopa, he's got very scared, and he went to tell all the people in the village, Nandagram, that what was happening. So they all came out, streaming out quickly, and as soon as they got there and saw what was happening, they just fainted. But the gopis were the last ones to arrive, because they were doing various household duties, cooking, cleaning, serving the husband, all these things. So when they came out, they were the last, and they couldn't. It was hard for them to even get there, because they were so upset about this that they kept falling over, tripping over their clothes, and fainting and reviving and again running again. So eventually they all got there. By that time, everyone else, the men, the boys, and everyone was like fainted. So Krishna, when the gopis came, he said, "Come on, you know," and he took them all up on the heads of Kaliya, and they did a Rasa Leela dance. Isn't that incredible? Where everybody, they didn't even see it because they were out, you know. So he enjoyed himself with this. They all enjoyed like that, and then they came down. Then everyone woke up, and it went on. Pastimes went on. So this is just one part of the Bhagavatamrita relevant to this. So I'll just read it. I won't read all the Sanskrit because it's quite long. What you have, this was compiled by Srila Sanatana Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, the senior, you could say the senior among them, because he was the elder brother of Rupa Goswami, and like his guru also. And he was in Vrindavan, he was considered the senior of the representatives of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Vrindavan. When Mahaprabhu sent him there, so that he was like an older man and very sober, so he would be able to deal with the Vrajvasis. Because the Vrajvasis are all for Krishna. Radhe, Radhe, Shyam, okay, and Gauranga Leela, something else. So, but Jagadananda Pandit, he was very fanatical for Lord Chaitanya. He only knew Lord Chaitanya. So, and that's told in Prem Vivata. I was trying to get the book, but we couldn't find a copy. But in the very beginning, the introduction to that book, Jagadananda says that in the whole introductory chapter, he's explaining, don't think that Radha and Krishna are different from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Don't think that, first was Radha and Krishna, and then later on, somehow, you know, the incarnation of Mahaprabhu came. That in that way he's something less, or like that. No, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anya, there's no difference. So just a different manifestation. Sometimes 2, sometimes 1. In fact, as Srila Prabhupada would say, if, as everybody says, right, God is one. If God is one, that must be Mahaprabhu then, right? But anyway, you can't say like that. So sometimes manifested pastimes, Radha and Krishna enjoying their pastimes. Sometimes as Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, but in the mood and aspect, Radha Bhav, the Bhava of Radharani searching for Krishna. Okay, so Jagadananda, he was a fanatical follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he wanted to go to Vrindavan. Okay, and he wasn't allowed to go because Mahaprabhu thought if he goes there, he'll be telling, you should all worship my Lord, Mahaprabhu. And this will be like some kind of rasa bas or something that he wouldn't, you know, because they're all Radha Shyam, Radha Krishna, like that. So, in fact, in Vrindavan, you know, everybody's saying Radhe, Radhe. They don't even say Krishna so much. Although they say Hari Krishna or Hari Bol, but the main refrain is Radhe, Radhe, because that's the place of Radharani, her place. Okay, so finally, reluctantly, he agreed. Okay, you can go, but there are 4 things, 4 rules you have to follow, or 4 restrictions. He said, don't mix intimately with the residents of Vrindavan, because their mentality and their activities are sometimes different, and they don't follow necessarily rules and regulations. For example, there's one example, even in our own time. There's one devotee went to Srila Prabhupada, he was like shocked. He said, I've seen these people come down from the village and washing their shoes in Radha Kund. Radha Kund is the most sacred place, right, in the universe, Rupa Goswami says, and just by bathing once in those holy waters, you will attain Krishna Prem. And they're washing their chappal, like that. So, but for them, it's different. They're Vrajavasis, Krishna, probably looks the other way, whatever. But if we would do that, that's very offensive. The outsiders, you can say. So don't mix intimately with them, and don't walk on the Govardhan hill. Don't walk on, put your feet on. That's the Govardhan is non-different from Krishna, yeah. And remember the other 2?
Don't stay too long.
Don't stay too long. Only 3 days or like that. And the other one, last is that's maybe the. So anyway, with this promise, Jagadananda went there. He was allowed to go there, and. But what happened when he went there, as I said, Sanatana Goswami, and that's right, and always keep your activities under the guidance of the Goswamis who are there, Rupa and Sanatan particularly. Don't just go running here and there, you keep service under them, like that. So then, so one day, Sanatana Goswami, he decided he wanted to see, he'd heard about this fanatical devotion of Jagadananda for Mahaprabhu. So he wanted to see that. So one day he tied a red cloth around his head, and Jagadananda came in and he said, oh, that's an unusual attire. Where did you get that? He said, oh, I got it from some sannyasi who's roaming in Vrindavan. And this sannyasi was some well-known sannyasi who's like a Mayavadi sannyasi, right? Not Vaishnava. So Jagadananda flew into a rage, How you can be wearing the cloth of a Mayavadi sannyasi on your head? And, oh my God. And so he picked up a pan and he rushed at Sanatana to beat him with the pan. And Sanatana was, oh, we don't know. Wait, no. Then he said, I was just testing you. He's very happy, And the other one, about with Jagadananda, with the oil he brought from Puri. That's very nice. He went down to Puri and he came with some sandalwood oil in big pots, big clay pots to keep it cool. And he wanted to offer that to Mahaprabhu, thinking, oh, this would be very nice. If he has headache or he's anyway indisposed, you can smear this oil on his head, he'd be very relaxed, So he was in the other room with the servant, Govinda, with the oil, and Mahaprabhu, Gauranga, was in the other room, and he heard them talking something. He said, what is that? And then Govinda said, oh, Jagadananda's come from Puri and he's brought this oil for you. And then Jagadananda came in with the oil and placed it in front. Mahaprabhu said, oh, I can't use that. What? He said, no, I'm sannyasi. If I put this oil on my body and then I go to the temple and people will see this oil and smell this oil, it's against the rules. They then also think, oh, maybe he has some woman, there, and all these. I can't. But he said, never mind. You can offer this oil to the priests, and they will put it in the lamps, and their fragrance of burning this oil will be very nice for Jagannath. But Jagadananda wasn't satisfied, and he picked up the pot and smashed it on the ground in front of Mahaprabhu, and it just went everywhere, all wasted. And he ran into his room. slammed the door, like in a man above, in a sulking mood. Because we hear that he's Satyabhama Devi in Dwarka. He's a, you could say, representation, manifestation or incarnation of Satyabhama, Krishna's favourite queen. Well, Rukmini Satyabhama. Rukmini is what they call right wing mood, is always very submissive to Krishna. Whatever he wants, immediately Rukmini and her group, which is Chandravali in Vrindavan, and her gopis, they will immediately acquiesce to Krishna. Yes, whatever. And then the left-wing group, headed by Radharani, or Satyabhama in Dwarka, they're very opposing mood to Krishna. If Krishna says, I want this, no, we won't do that. We want to do this instead. We'll go here instead. But this is very nice for Krishna. He enjoys this more and more. This opposing mood of love, So Jagadananda, being Satyabhama, ran to his room and slammed the door, wouldn't come out. Like some kind of womanly behaviour. So Mahaprabhu's going and knocking on the door. Come out, No, he's not saying. And eventually, after some time, Mahaprabhu said, okay, I want that you must cook my lunch today. So he gave that like direct service order. So then Jagadananda had to come out and cooked his lunch. And Mahaprabhu came back from taking his bath, and he had his lunch. And when he had his lunch, he said, I think this prasad is the best I've ever tasted. And I think your angry mood has made it more sweet, He was enjoying like that. So I'll just read a few verses from here. I'll say, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Sarupavach Evang Jat Paramang Sadhyam Paramang Sadhanam Chajat Tadvit Chajat Dhuna Brahman Swayang Nischiyatang Tvaya. Sri Sarup said, My dear Brahmin, now think carefully and decide for yourself what is the highest goal of life and what is the best way to achieve it. And this edition's got the full commentary of Sanatana Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. They combinedly did a commentary. So he says, this chapter describes how the Mathura Brahmin, by the mercy of Sri Sarupa, achieved pure love for Krishna, and on the strength of that love received Krishna's special favour. Then I'm just reading the English. Please understand, O best of Mathura Brahmins, just like me, you have already fully achieved your goal by the mercy of the divine goddess. Whatever is left for you to achieve, you've already nearly attained. Please know this. I can see that the Supreme Lord has bestowed upon you his full mercy. And he says in the purport, but the Brahmin was humbly thinking, no, that not. I'm not attained that stage of perfection. But Sarupa, he disagreed. He said, Sri Golokanath, Krishna, has already singled you out as a recipient of his full mercy. Just see, I've indeed told you everything that happened to me and to the Lord and to his devotees, even though these topics are most confidential. The special ecstasies one relishes in the shelter of the personality of Godhead's lotus feet are private. One should feel shy to reveal them, even to one's own mind. And sometimes I entered special states of consciousness in which I could no longer recognize myself or others, nor distinguish one thing from the next. And so there were events I didn't see. Yet Krishna in your presence has entered my heart and brought all these topics out, forcing them to come out of my mouth. So here Sarupa is the guru and the Mathura Brahmin is the disciple. Okay? So the guru, Sarupa, he's revealing things here to the disciple. Very, very secret knowledge. I've noted clear signs that you've gained strong faith in these topics, a faith that will soon bestow upon you all its rewards. This reminds me in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when the sages say to Sutta Goswami that you are blessed with long years, and you because you're a very good disciple, you'll receive all the blessings of your gurus and understand everything. It's like that. Early this morning, Sri Radhika Devi herself came and ordered me, Sarupa, a Brahmin from Mathura, who is my devotee, is coming to my grove. And it says here that the commentary, I'll only read the short ones, because some of these, there's some commentaries in here, it's like 5, 6, 7, 8 pages, but the Mathura Brahmin considered himself a devotee of Durga, but she is a partial expansion of Sri Radhika, Lord Madan Gopal's eternal consort. There's one example, I think it's in the Shiva Purana, where devotees worshipping Durga very faithfully in the temple, and then Durga says to him, "Oh, don't you know, actually my original form and personality is Sri Radhika in Vrindavan. So if you go to Vrindavan and worship her, that will be best." Like this. So he says, the Guru says, "Go there alone the first thing today. Enlighten him with good..." Oh, this is what Radharani is saying to the Guru, Swarupa. "Enlighten him, the Mathura Brahmin, with good instructions, console him and help him quickly attain Krishna's grace." So by the grace of the Guru, one gets the grace of Krishna, yes? So by the grace of Sri Radhika, one gets the mercy of Krishna. So that's what Sri Radha Dasyam is about. Yeah. "On her instruction, I swiftly came here, overjoyed, without even a thought about missing the enjoyment of Krishna's company." Yeah, so that's to say, if you have service is given, so he could happily stay there and enjoy life, with Krishna, but when he got the service by Radharani herself, he was more happy to do that. So it's not like he'd be missing out on anything. He would get more mercy of Krishna by serving the wish of Radharani. Sri Parikshit said, "When Sarupa saw that the Brahmin, even after spoken to in this way, had not awakened to the treasure of pure love, Sarupa put his hand on the Brahmin's head." That's a blessing and the full mercy, right? And potency and consciousness of the higher Vaishnava, the Guru. By the mercy of the great soul Sarupa, everything Sarupa had experienced became manifest at once in the Brahmin's heart, as if the Brahmin had experienced it himself. Like one example, not quite the same, but I've told this before. I saw this in Navadvip, quite strange or unusual, but one devotee, you all know, is it Trivikram Maharaj in Brazil? Yeah, this is before he was sannyasi, but he was thinking of taking sannyasi. He was asking me, should I do it? I said, yeah, go for it, You're in Navadvip, in the presence of Govinda Maharaj, So it was like a few days, before that. And then sitting upstairs in the veranda of Govinda Maharaj's room, what they call the veranda. And then he was sitting there, Sri Lokanath, in his white cloth and that. And I was there in the back, and one or two others. I think Madhusudan Maharaj was there, Mahananda Prabhu then. Anyway, all of a sudden, there was a tray of sweets, laddus, round sweets there. I think it was laddus. Could have been must have been laddus, some dry sweet, yeah. And he said, all of a sudden, he said to Govinda Maharaj, said to what's his name? Trivikram, yeah. He said, Prabhu, go and wash your hand. And, there's a little basin there, remember, stuck to the side of the veranda with the pipe coming out. So he washed his hands and said, and come back and sit there. He said, hold out your right hand. And Govinda Maharaj took a sweet off the tray. He put it on his hand, and holding his hand on the sweet on his hand, he looked in his eyes and said, "Be liberated." It's like, whoa. without the mercy of Lord Shiva or something. So anyway, so Sarupa put his hand on the Brahman's head, and everything which he had experienced, the Guru, became manifest at once in the Brahman's heart, as if the Brahman had experienced it himself. Such are the most amazing glories of contact with the great saint. By that contact, this Brahmana suddenly achieved perfection, realizing his eternal identity. Okay, and this is the one with the big purport here. It's about 10 pages of Sanatana Goswami's commentary. Mainly he's quoting verses from different shastras and then commenting on those verses in regard to this subject. It's about the blessing that as mercy, like water, runs downhill. Mercy comes from up to down, and how that is a transfer of consciousness. Then the verse, the Brahmin was submerged, just like Sarupa, in an ocean of the taste of pure exalted love, and his whole body, just like Sarupa's, was filled with many symptoms of that love. He cried out to Krishna, the foremost of youths, "O Krishna, Krishna, please show yourself." He placed a blade of grass between his teeth, bowed down, and with plaintive cries asked of Sarupa, and of all moving and non-moving living beings, "Where is Krishna? Have you seen him here?" Loudly chanting the all-attractive names of Krishna, the Brahmana clutched Sarupa's feet. The Brahmin saw that Sarupa, his guru, was drowning in an ocean of love and had lost control of himself by witnessing the love in him, and so the Brahmana wept. So the devotee is more happy to see the happiness of others. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasado, yasya prasada nagati kutopi. That the guru is very happy to see the devotees taking prasad, right? It's a kind of seva. So that's more enjoyable than himself taking the Krishna prasad, to see others relishing prasad of Krishna. That's how it is. So seeing that transformation in his disciple, he was so happy. A moment later, compelled by a great upsurge of love, the Mathura Brahmin got up and began to wander in the forest. There he fainted and fell into a thorny grove of karira trees. Dear mother, all of a sudden, from a distance came rich and sweet sounds of flutes and horns, mixed with the mooing of cows and the sounds of venas made from gourds and whistles made from leaves. You see now, they go, make a leaf. That's what we used to do that, you know. Make a whistle, yeah. Awakened by the persistent sounds, Sarupa and the Brahmin ran in its direction. Then they saw Gopal Dev, his body beautifully dark, encircled by a brilliant effulgence. So Krishna's dark, and he appeared on the dark moon. That's today, right? In the midnight, in the dark night time. And Gauranga appeared on the full moon, right? The light moon, the full moon, the golden moon. So Krishna is dark. He's Sham. Sham means dark. And his activities are very confidential and non-understandable by ordinary people. The Lord, unlimited in pastimes, was coming nearby to water his animals and play with his friends in the Jamuna, daughter of the sun. So Surya, who's also an expansion of Narayan, partial expansion of Narayan, Surya Dev, sun god, also called Aditya, and Bhaskara, and Hiranyagarbha, so many names for Surya. But he's a partial expansion of Narayan, and Jamuna is a daughter, and his son is Shani, Saturn, planet Saturn, Surya Putra, and also Yamaraj. Lord Yamaraj is the son of the sun. So that way Yamaraj and Jamuna would be brother and sister, I guess. Yeah. As he approached, this is Krishna, he danced with a gait worthy of honour from the playful walk of the king of elephants. So Krishna is saying, the commentary, he says, that, like, sometimes we say, when the Lord does something, he achieves many things. It's not like if we do something, maybe it achieves something or one result. But Krishna can achieve many results by one action. So in this way, when Krishna was approaching the Jamuna, he had more than one purpose in mind. He wanted to let his cows and the other animals drink from the Jamuna, and he wanted to play with the boys, cowherd boys in the water, and he also wanted to meet the gopis, who the plan was that they would take him across the river in a boat. So they all approached Krishna and his friends, Shakas, and they were playing, making the sounds, imitating the forest creatures and playing in many ways. His chief ornament was his own unique youth. He wasn't, see, that's like that, right? Krishna's ornament is his youth. Doesn't need any ornament. Because normally an ornament makes whatever the ornament is adorning, the person or thing, it makes it somehow more beautiful. But how beauty personified, Krishna himself, how could he be more beautiful with ornaments? Rather, Krishna makes the ornaments beautiful. So his youthfulness is his main ornament. He was an ocean filled with wonderful waves of beauty, ever adorned with newer and newer charms. He redoubled the joy of everyone's minds and eyes. So this is very different than the idea of like going to God and approaching God and, reaching God, somehow, whatever they consider that means in different religious traditions. But it's like, you get there and then you're with God and that's it. Somehow, we don't know what happens. So you're just there in a peaceful, by the side, the right hand of the Father, etc. But here, Krishna himself, his beauty is increasing all the time, unlimitedly. All auspicious signs marked his beautiful body. Garlands of nipa flowers adorned his ears, and a peacock feather his hair. A string of pearls decorated his conch-like neck, and his yellow silken garments, upper and lower, shone brilliantly. And in the purport there, Sanatana Goswami quotes from the Samudrika Shastra 36 signs of a Mahapurusha, or great person, or avatar, which obviously Krishna possesses them all, which he goes through. 32 ways. 5 parts of his body are tender, 5 are long, 7 are red, 6 are high, 3 are short, 3 are broad, and 3 are deep. And then he says what they are. Should I say? It's nectar, isn't it? But anyway, the 3 deep parts are the voice, the navel, and the intelligence. So, and there's the other. On his broad chest, home to the Srivatsa mark and Lakshmi, hung a long garland of gunja berries. His waist was like a kingly lion's, his prowess like that of hundreds of lions. The essence of all good fortune worshipped his lotus feet. So Krishna's lion-like in also his appearance, external appearance, but also his courage and strength. Enhancing his dress were many garlands of kadamba flowers, gunja berries, tulsi leaves, and sprouts of shikanda. Variously coloured flowers adorned his waist, and his belt hung in a way that beautified his hips. Like Bhaktivinoda said in that song, he's the best of dressers. So people like to dress, right? Wear a gold chain, earring in one ear, cool hat along the round way. What is that, If you see Krishna, you'd be like blown away, He's so cool, His arms, round, broad and stout, and pleasing to the eyes, shone with splendid golden armlets and bracelets. The fingers of his lotus hands happily played on his charming flute as he held it to his bimba-red lips. The unprecedented embellishments of his flute song, anticipated by him alone, bewildered all the universe like an intoxicating nectar. So that's interesting. And it was anticipated by him alone. You know, like an expert musician, when they're playing, it's probably like a fraction of a second before they actually play the note. It's in their mind what will come out. So only Krishna knows what he was going to be playing on his flute. And the universe becomes bewildered. It's described elsewhere, you know, how clouds get scattered, and even Brahma, Lord Brahma, becomes bewildered hearing that. Like, what's that? He's like, in his 8 ears, you know, he's hearing this sound and doesn't know what it is. Something extraordinary. And the restless play of his glances, sidelong and slight, gently decorated his lotus eyes. So his eyes are very beautiful. The glance is very soft and gentle and sidelong, you know. It's not like hard and piercing. That's more like Shiva, right? Rudra. And Krishna's glance different. The splendid dance of his eyebrows, a pair of archer's bows. Archer because like Cupid. Cupid has a bow. So they're like that, you know. So when the bow is bent, right, it means the arrow is about to be released. So Krishna's eyebrows are always like that, bent, firing the arrows. So these eyebrows nourished his servants' loving feelings, and his beautiful, ever-smiling lotus face attracted the hearts of the best of sages. Okay, yeah, I mentioned here the transcendental Cupid. He shoots flower arrows, pushpanjali, into the arrows of desire into the hearts of conditioned souls. And the sages, the self-satisfied mystics and sages, are defeated in their meditation when they see the smile on Krishna's face. They forget they can't keep their samadhi. They're just like, it's too attractive, you know, for them. On the tip of his nose, a nose exquisite like a sesame flower, shone a single pearl, born from the forehead of a lordly elephant. So traditionally, the elephant's supposed to produce a pearl in their forehead. You know, these elephants are cosmic elephants, I guess. And Krishna had one of those pearls on the tip of his nose. Presumably it was there somehow. Now and then his hand would gracefully brush aside the bees of his locks of hair, which were adorned with dust raised by the cows. Yes, that pearl on his nose says Nashagare, is on the nose, Gaja Moktikam, means on the head of the elephant. Gaja means elephant. So Krishna has that. Yeah. So there's that, and also the mukat. The mukat is the peacock feather. That's very instinctive of Krishna. Only Krishna has that. And that's also an ornament because peacock's feather means he doesn't, pull it from the tail of the peacock. Just picks it up from the forest, puts it, like that. So ornamented with very natural things, not like jewels and emeralds and pearls, and that's in Dwarka, the sort of royal mood. But all the ornaments and all the beauty is very rural and very natural and very simple, and that is ultimately more attractive because it's madhurya. It's full of sweetness, not full of opulence and grandeur. And this is Krishna. His broad forehead, shaped like a half moon, glowed with the splendour of his straight-up tilak, formed with clay from the Jamuna. His limbs were painted with designs made with various mountain minerals. He was an ocean full of huge waves of sportive pastimes. So all of Krishna's Leela, his pastimes, they emanate from his being, of course, So that way they're non-different from him, of course. So these, his face and his limbs, they're decorated with mountain minerals, which the cowherd boys, they collect them from the caves, like on Govardhan. And when Krishna's resting, after his pastimes, like when he comes back from Radha Kund, because the boys are playing like 11 o'clock in the morning, and they're having pastimes, they put the cows to graze over there, and then they're playing Balaram and Krishna, and the cowherd boys, many pastimes, and then, Krishna gives some excuse. He tells, I'm going off, some cows have wandered off, I have to go and collect them, you stay here, carry on, and I'll be back soon. That time Krishna goes off with some intimate friends, right? Devotee boys, and they go off to Radha Kund, and there he has his pastimes with Radharani and different gopis, Radha Kund pastimes. So then he comes back after that, and he's very tired, so he takes rest. He lies down with his head on the lap of a boy, and then that time they decorate him with all these minerals. They get different colours, pigments, which come from the hills, from the mountains. Like we used to get this thing to dye the cloth. Of course, nowadays they use chemical dyes like, what's that one you get from the shop? Famous one. You put it in the machine, the washing machine does. But we used to get the red lump. It's like comes in a lump, and you mix it in the water and dye the cloth. So these minerals are coming from the hills and mountains, and they're different colours: yellow, red, brown, and they would make special symbolic marks on Krishna's body. Yeah. These are called Gairika, that's red one, and Haritala, which is yellow, minerals. Standing in his charming threefold bending pose, sometimes he played various entertaining melodies on his flute, making his dear friends laugh. His feet decorated the earth in all directions. Surrounding him on all sides were dear friends whose appearance resembled his. So just like in Vaikuntha, the Vaikuntha Vasis, they look just like Vishnu, Narayan. Actually, in a casual glance, you couldn't tell the difference. That's why Gopakumar, when he saw them, he didn't know which one was Narayan. He was like, they're all there, like forearms, so beautiful, ornaments, everything. And, but there are some particular distinguishing marks. Two things. It's called the mark of Srivats on the chest of Narayan, and this white tuft of hair that he has, which represents Lakshmi on his chest, because Lakshmi is always on his chest. So that's unique to Narayan. So similarly, the cowherd boys, they're all gopas. Krishna's a gopa, he's a cowherd boy. And they're all cowherd boys. They look very similar. And of course, Krishna has some special things also. And then the boys, they're different, like some are, there's four types. Some are exactly the same age as Krishna, Sakhas. So their relationship is very, just like friend to friend. They have no inhibitions about playing with Krishna in any way, wrestling with him, jumping on him, sometimes chastising him, or telling, not abusing him, but like this, like friends, right? Then some they're a little younger, slightly younger, so they're free in their friendship, but there's a tinge of like elder brother and younger brother. So like a tinge of that, not, you could say respect or something. And some are slightly older. So again, friendship, but they have a tinge of vatsalya, a tinge of guardianship mood. protecting to Krishna. And then some are very, the Priyanama Shakas, they're very intimate. So they go with Krishna in his conjugal pastimes. And they're sometimes bringing messages from the gopis, sometimes supporting Krishna against the gopis, sometimes supporting gopis against Krishna. Or some are then on the side of Radharani or against Krishna, like this. So Krishna stood with his elder brother Ram, whose complexion was white, who was bedecked with blue silk garments, whose body was most attractive, and whose age and dress were just like his own. Again, very similar to Krishna in many ways, So, somewhere it's mentioned that Krishna is also having Ras Leela with the gopis, and now somebody asked Sri Ramaraj, how is that? It's like he's like borrowing Krishna's gopis. No, he has his own group. It's a completely own group of gopis. And that was also in, we were hearing the other day, a pastime, when Balaram was in some place in Dwarka, actually. And the gorilla, Dvivida, the gorilla, he's a big, huge gorilla. He's like an asura. And he was making disturbance. And he was, like threatening people and being very, very offensive and very vulgar, showing his backside to the girlfriends of Balaram. But they were laughing. They thought it was very, and it's described there in the shloka. It says they were laughing and making a lot of jokes because, like young girls, they were prone to silliness. It says that. But in the end, of course, he couldn't tolerate that, Balaram, and he was destroying the yagyas of the sages, the Brahmins, like urinating on the fire. What? And then he went in the ocean outside Dwarka, and he was making like tidal waves, swamping that's like going like this, And he was then jumping up in the trees and shaking all the trees, and the earth was all trembling. Anyway, so eventually they had a fight, and that went on for a long time, many days. Sometimes it seemed like he was getting the upper hand, Dvivida, of course, Balaram's pastimes, and eventually he killed him. The weight of the persistent heavy joy of seeing Krishna made the two devotees fall. Indeed, they suddenly threw themselves to the ground as if to offer prostrate obeisances, all their competence lost in the excitement of the moment. All their competence means all the gravity. That's in Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Sharanagati, where he's describing the glories of the holy name and the effects of the holy name. And this you can read in the Search for Sri Krishna by Sri Ramaraj, the glories of the holy name, where he's paraphrasing Bhaktivinoda Thakur from his, Bhaktivinoda wrote it in song form, in meter, in Bengali. So there Sri Ramaraj is translating it and just writing it in a narrative. But he was saying there that when one becomes overwhelmed by the sweetness of the holy name, as we know, Rupa Goswami said, I want thousands of mouths. With one mouth, how can I chant? It's so sweet, I can't say the name. I need millions or thousands of mouths, and I need millions of ears to capture the sweetness. Like this. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was saying, I don't know who I am anymore. Where's my consciousness gone? It's been stolen. Where's my gravity, my seriousness? I'm just like a mad person. And wherever the holy name takes me, I'll have to go there. I've no independent will anymore. I'm a slave to the holy name. And then he says how the holy name takes me to the feet of the worshippers of Krishna in Vrindavan. As he says, to the feet of that altar, and so on. So here the devotees fell to the ground and they lost their consciousness. And that means they couldn't even offer any suitable prayers. You're supposed to offer prayers, right? When you meet what speak of the Lord, even a great soul, great personality. You know, if there's some prayer that some great sage or avatar has said in the Shastra, you bring that to mind and you recite that before them. Traditionally. But they couldn't do anything, everything went. It's the same with Prahlad, you know. He was felt unable to offer suitable prayers to the Lord. The Lord, compelled by his love for his dear devotees, ran toward them. And when he reached them, he fainted and fell on top of them, embracing them both with his long, mighty arms. Imagine that Supreme Master, these are the verses, that Supreme Master, his heart melting with compassion, bathed them with a shower of tears of love. In a moment he stood up, lifted the two devotees from the ground with both hands and steadied them. Wiping off the tears and dust smeared on the bodies of these devotees, the merciful Lord embraced them over and over again. And right at that spot he sat on the ground with them and spoke nectarian words to please the Brahmana. So even then, right, Krishna's a Gopa, a Vaishya, mercantile class, so he's honouring the Brahmin by telling him. Krishna knows all the Shastras, of course, but that's what you're supposed to do formally with Brahmanas. The Supreme Lord said, "Blessed and noble Mathura Brahmana, Sri Jana Sharma, you are the moon born from the ocean of the dynasty of Brahmanas. Are your peace and well-being resplendent in every way?" So just like the full moon, by the power, the full moon lights up all the stars. You know, like one time the reporters said to Srila Prabhupada in the airport, he said, "How is your mission going?" This was, in America. The Prabhupada said, "Oh, we're very pleased. It's growing very nicely, many devotees." And then, the old ego, the reporter, he goes, "Well, there's not so many." And he quoted, it's like over 200 million people in the United States, and how many devotees you have? And Prabhupada said, "No, it's not like that. You may be one moon, but one moon is more than all the stars, So it's a question of quality, not quantity." So a Brahmin is supposed to, he gives by his light and his knowledge, he exalts his family and illuminates his whole family. Only, Krishna speaking, only by your influence are my family and I well. By your mercy, my heart is attracted to you. I've always looked toward the path by which you would come. By good fortune you've remembered me, and by good fortune I've seen you again after so long. Dear Brahmin, I'm totally under your control. Please feel free to enjoy here as you like. Sri Pariksit said, swept away by a great flood of loving ecstasy, Jana Sharma, the Brahmin, was completely awed and was unable to reply to Krishna or even look at him directly. His throat choking with sobs, his eyes burning with tears, all he could do was place his head on Krishna's lotus feet and cry profusely. Lord Krishna, that crest jewel of munificent persons, was distressed because he couldn't find anything better than himself to offer as a gift. So he removed the ornaments from his own body and decorated the Brahmin with them, making him look like Swarupa. So Krishna was thinking, well, this Brahman's surrendered completely to me. He's given me everything, even his very self. But I must give him something in return. What can I give? But I can't find anything more precious than myself. So then he was in anxiety. Then he gave him something that he'd never before given to anyone, his own ornaments from his body. But he had to consider seriously before doing that. Because by doing that, he would be saying that he considers his devotees more important than himself. Yes? And at the same time, he transformed the Brahmin's body into that of a cowherd boy. Haribo, similar to Swarupa's. He already had his. In this way, Krishna bestowed on Janmashtami a supreme mercy that only he could give, and Janmashtami then felt completely fulfilled. Then Krishna, with a signal from his flute and a special sound from his mouth, called the cows and made them drink water. So obviously these are like code sounds which Krishna has for the different animals. It's not just cows. Krishna, by the way, had some goats. He had a flock of goats, and he called them with different sounds, and the forest animals in this way. And of course he knew all the cows, thousands of cows. They all had names, and he knew them all individually by name, and sometimes he would call different ones to him. So he called them to drink the water of the Jamuna. So he's doing his job. He's a gopa, looking after the cows, right? They have to drink, they have to eat. So, and just by that same peculiar sound, he made the animals stop and lie down in comfortable places. Then with the two devotees and his elder brother and his other friends, he played in the water. It's said that these cows, they wouldn't even start to eat grass until they heard the flute of Krishna in the morning. Just imagine. I mean, you think like the force of instinct, right? Any cow is immediately going to start. But no. You know, where's the flute? You know? And then they start grazing. So it's like within the sight of the cows, Krishna's playing in the water with his friends. Now and then Krishna would come near his friends who were splashing one another and drench them with waves. And sometimes the boys would come up to him, the most expert in all sports, and subject him to a torrent of waves. In all this the Lord took delight. Using Sri Jamuna's flowing water as an instrument, he and his friends played all kinds of auspicious music. Yeah, so the water makes music. And what to speak of that? Even you've heard of Handel, the composer. He did one sonata, water music. Handel's water music, yeah. So even in the material world, in the elementals, the undines are the spirits, the water spirits. Like you have the air spirits, the sylphs, they're called sylphs, and you have your gnomes for the earth, and the salamanders of the fire. You know, like the fire flames, like that. They're like these actual type of lizards, fire lizards, called salamanders. So, you know, what to speak of the spiritual water of the Jamuna. It's making beautiful music to accompany Krishna's flute. And he sported Krishna by crossing the river in various ways, both with the current and against it. Sometimes Krishna playfully hid his body in the Jamuna's water and his face in a cluster of lotuses so that no one could find him. Yeah, Krishna's lotus face. So just when he went in the cluster of lotuses, you couldn't see. It was like, what's another name for Mukunda? Mukunda means the giver of liberation, but also Mukunda means face like a lotus. And here he says in the commentary, the river Jamuna, is also called Krishna. Krishna is female, Krishna, because the colour of her water closely resembles Krishna's complexion, dark bluish. So yeah, what with the water, which is his body, and the lotus, which is his face, Krishna completely disguised. It's like those things, you know, you've seen on the YouTube, they have this pixel picture and says, and you look at it in a certain way and you can see something that's there. Have you seen that? Yeah, you have to change your consciousness, like, look, I can't do it myself, and then you see what is there, some picture, some tiger or some picture. So like this way, Krishna is hiding. When his friends who had no purpose in life but to see him, looked for him but failed, they wept in terrible distress, their minds bewildered, and called out to him in ardent voices. Because it's like, if Krishna would suddenly disappear, to them, I mean, how do they know Krishna was just gone forever, maybe? They don't know. So suddenly like that, they're shocked and distressed. Just then, wily Krishna emerged laughing from the cluster of lotuses. The boys, their wide open eyes flooded with joy, rushed forward and jumped into the water to be with him, and in this way he sported. He decorated his friends with charming garlands made from various water flowers, strung together with fibres of lotus stems. Then he and his friends came out of the water, and in the same way they decorated him. So who's expert in garlands? They don't need this needle and cotton and all this. Just have the stem of the flower and just go tuk, tuk. I've seen them do it in these South Indian flower shops and in the street in India, you see. And they have the stem and they just go one into the other to the other. It's garland, finished.
Yeah, you make a hole in the stem.
Yeah.
And you pull the other through it.
Yeah. Or maybe different ways. Maybe also wind it around. Different ways, they can do. To have lunch there on the broad, attractive bank of the Jamuna, Krishna seated his elder brother in the middle of the cowherd boys, who sat down around them in concentric circles. You've probably seen the picture on the front of the original songbook of Hare Krishna, had that picture. Krishna like the whirl of the lotus and all the cowherd boys. Yeah. Krishna enjoyed serving the boys the wonderful delicacies they had brought from their homes. As he served, he moved back and forth in front of the boys with a playful dancing gait. The boys also had delicious fruits, flowers and grains, all provided fresh in every season by the many kinds of divine trees in the Vrindavan forest. Krishna enjoyed serving to all the boys the fruits that pleased each of them most. So they've also got their lunch boxes from their mothers at home, but they've also got a whole load of natural things from the bushes and trees of Vrindavan. He served rasalas, palm fruits and bilva fruits, and badaras and amalakas, and coconuts, jackfruit, grapes and bananas. He served oranges, pilus, kariras and other ripe, tasty fruits like dates and pomegranates. So, like as in the material world, only different fruits, they become ripe in different seasons. So you have to wait, So wait for the date season, the mango season. Here, everything is ripe all at the same time. If they want it, or even if it's not ripe, they think of it, it's ripe, and they can get it. So, and then Srila Govinda Maharaj said in his commentary on the verses of Brahma Samhita, that if that type of devotee eats an apple, the devotee is happy to eat the apple, and the apple is also very happy to be eaten by the devotee. Like that. So the infallible Lord Krishna stood in front of each boy, one after another, and took a morsel from each plate and consumed it, and fed the boy as well. In this way he pleased them all. So he'd obviously be biting it half, eating and giving the other half to them. And just like in the Rasa Leela, where each gopi thought Krishna was dancing only with her, so at this time with this eating, sharing, each boy thought Krishna was only with him and was like specializing to him, for like that. Krishna's friends examined all the preparations, picked out those they found especially tasty, and with their own hands reverentially placed them into his divine mouth. And Krishna, bubbling with humour, heartily ate each offering, praised its qualities, and made wry faces. In this way he made his friends laugh and completely enchanted them. Sometimes he's thinking, it's like sour, a bit sour, like that. And then, That's in that also the song of Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala Hari, which, all the different preparations. And the gopis were watching from behind the lattice work screen, seeing that if Krishna enjoyed what they'd made, cooked, and Krishna pretending he didn't know they were there or he didn't see them. Someone's going, and they go, oh my God, Then he's laughing, and the boys are laughing, They don't know what they're laughing about really, but they're just laughing because Krishna's laughing. Yeah. That most expert enjoyer of all kinds of amusing sports drank a savoury tamarind nectar, many other beverages, and buttermilk and Jamuna water, carried in tumbi gourds and other sorts of vessels, and he made the boys drink too. In this way he delighted all the cowherd boys. Krishna did archaman and then chewed fragrant camphor-rich betel nuts that each boy had brought from his home, and also fresh forest betel nuts, soaked and wrapped in many leaves of naga creepers. He enjoyed the betel nut and also gave it out. So Krishna doing archaman, like sipping the water, he's purifying himself after eating. He's playing really, but he's thinking, they've got the thread, twice born, so they have to do the rituals. Whereas a Brahmana has 9 strings, Kshatriya 6 strings, and Vaishya 3 strings. And Sudra they don't have. So doing that. His friends made for him various garlands from flowers and leaves. There were flowers and leaves of tulsi, malati and jati, malika, kunda jasmine and kubjaka, cloves, ketaki and jinti, madhavi and 2 kinds of jutika. The garlands had kanchana and karavira and satapatri, 2 kinds each, and flowers and leaves of palasha and navamali and odra and damanaka and others. There were flowers and leaves of kadamba and of nipa and bakul, and naga, punaga and champak. The garlands had kudacha and ashok and mandara. They had karnikara, asana, arjun, patala, priyaka, and still other flowers and leaves. Krishna put these garlands on himself and passed them out among his friends. So everything's blooming, right, in the Vrindavan forest. So many types of fruits and flowers you can get in any season. Whereas now we find in the material world, it's even when I was a boy and we'd be driving down the motorway, and when you get to your destination, the whole windscreen is like smeared with like smashed insects, right? In the air, flown in. And now there's hardly anything, just 1 or 2. Where are they gone, Because no more flowers, fruits, nothing to pollinate. It's very sad, So this is material world, Kali Yuga. So he smeared his limbs, Krishna, with a paste of sandalwood, aguru, kumkum, musk, and other fragrant substances brought from the forest. Because in the summer it's very warm, very hot, so they're cooling down, especially after bathing, right? After bathing, you smear the body with the cooling fragrances. And they'd make these things into a paste. They'd grind them on rocks. Like we have this round thing for grinding sandalwood, but they would just take a rock from somewhere, from Govardhan or somewhere, and make. Then in a choice grove, fragrant with sweet-smelling flowers and resonant with humming bees, Krishna rested a while on an excellent bed made of many new soft leaves, sprouts and flowers. The body of his dear friend Sridhama provided a comfortable pillow, and countless friends served Krishna by expertly reciting prayers, singing sweetly, fanning him, dressing his hair, and massaging his lotus feet and hands. So like we have the lullaby, isn't it, for the children, make them go to sleep. So they'd be singing beautiful prayers and songs, sweetly singing, also fanning him, doing his hair, and massaging his lotus feet and lotus hands. Krishna enjoyed pleasing his friends, and in various ways, along with Balaram, indulged in his pastime of relaxing. Though Krishna's friends were very competent in the sport of keeping themselves from laughing, Krishna defeated them by imitating various characters, distorting his face, and cutting hundreds of jokes. So Krishna is the best of everything. So, in the material world, we like a good comedian, right? Just have a good laugh, Laughing is very therapeutic, right? So have a good laugh. So Krishna is the best comedian. And even though the cowherd boys were very... No, I'm not going to laugh, Just they had to laugh, Krishna was just so incredibly funny. And an incredible mimic, Like he'd mimic his friends, mother, father, everyone. Like mimicking, And it was very funny. Then, making the animals rise by sounding signals from his flute and buffalo horn, he enjoyed grazing them near Govardhan Hill. And again all his friends, each according to his own taste, tried to outdo the others in decorating Krishna with an assortment of wonderful items from the forest. In the evening, Krishna, the giver of joy to all of Vraj, left the newcomer Brahmin Janasharma in the hands of Sarupa, and as before took pleasure in entering the cowherd village. O Mother, you are fixed in the super-excellent intelligence attained only by the mercy of Lord Gopinath. Now, reflecting on all you have heard, you can answer your own questions. By your own endeavours, dear Mother, please try to reach Sri Golok, the deep ocean where the flood of all transcendental bliss finds its ultimate limit. Just by going there, you will eternally relish all sorts of most sweet loving exchanges with that same Supreme Lord. It's not that just anyone at any time can achieve those perfections at once just by travelling to the district of Mathura on earth. Like they say, you can't buy a ticket to go to the Dham, because the Dham is covered by the veil of Maya. Rather, only a rare person achieves them when he has obtained full mercy from the Lord's dear devotees. O Mother, please therefore gather dust from the feet of devotees who have exclusive love for the lotus feet of the Lord. That place, Golok, bestows eternal loving contact with Krishna's beautiful lotus feet, which are thickly smeared with the kumkum from the slopes of the gopis' breasts. Dear Mother, I've thus replied according to the spirit of your affectionate and deeply thoughtful questions, and all your doubts should now have been destroyed. That world, Golok, shining even above Vaikuntha, can be achieved only by firm, boundless love for the blessed feet of the lover of the gopis, Gopinath. In that land one reaps the most valuable rewards, far beyond one's desires. So we think, my desire is like that. That's the limit of my desire. If I could achieve that, attain that, all my desires would be fulfilled. But here, your desire is filled even beyond your wildest dreams, or even desires that you could imagine even having. When one meditates on the residents of that world, they grant the highest fortune of firm standing in prema. So remembering the exalted Vaishnavas of Golok is the key to all success. Okay, then that's kind of the end of that section, and then he goes on, speaking to the mother. He gives some quotations by sages and rishis about this, about the glories of the great devotees and so forth. So we can finish there because it's also 7. Anyway. Shri Brihad Bhagavatamritam Ki Jai, Srila Sanatana Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, the Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Jai. Jai.
Shri Maharaj Ki Jai.
Do you want to do kirtan till they open? Yeah, okay. Please, yeah, good. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare
Nitai Gauranga Jaya Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Where are the machines? Okay.
No? Are you sure? It doesn't have, it can be something different. I'm quite tired. But, you know.
God. I believe in.
Bhajayo Bhajasri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Bhajasri
Vishnu Patram Hamsa Privadikacharya Varya Shtotra Sat Shishima Bhakti Nyamalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vinda Ki Jai Vishnu Patram Hamsa Privadikacharya Varya Shtotra Sat Shishima Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Vishnu Patram Hamsa Privadikacharya Varya Shtotra Sat Shishima Bhakti Rakshak Shridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Vishnu Patram Hamsa Privadikacharya Varya Shtotra Sat Shishima Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Jai Vishnu Pashwa Gauri Kishore Das Babji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Vishnu Pashwa Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Vishnu Pashwa Jagannath Das Babji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Bhadra Vidyabhusana Ki Jai Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Naitam Shamananda Srinivasa Shaya Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai Shri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Gunashi Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Gunath Sar Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Panuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Sachi Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Shri Nadi Dham Ki Jai Shri Nadi Dham Ki Jai Shri Gangamuni Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopu Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Gaur Gir Govardhan Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Vinda Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Shri Dham Ki Jai Radha Subhadra Jagannath Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Vigna Vinasha Shri Nrsimhadev Ki Jai Bhakta Prabha Pahad Maharaj Ki Jai Radha Shrimad Bhagavatam Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai Vishwa Vaishnava Raja Sabha Ki Jai Ramat Maharaja Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai Yesaka Mat Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat West London Ki Jai Vishwa Vyatita Yesaka Mat Ki Jai Nanta Kochi Vaishnava Vinda Ki Jai Nanta Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai Nanta Bhakta Vinda Ki Jai Krishna Janmastami Mahamahotsav Ki Jai Nanta Sankirtan Ki Jai Nanta Goswami Ki Jai.
You're going outside to talk to the auntie in the garden.
Jai Sapri Karachi Shri Guru Gurati Yatharva Jai.
They're all going outside already, so maybe do the Guru song outside. Who's singing the Guru song? You? No. Gurudev here? No, wait. Everybody is there already, so you go there and sing. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'll turn your name. Yes,